Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are well and I hope you guys are staying safe. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make another lovely midi skirt. So I say another, that's because in January or February, I think, we learned how to make the skirt that I'm wearing now. It's a maxi skirt. I really like the fact that it's fitted up until the hip and then it flares out, right? But today's skirt is a bit different. However, before we get into that, I just wanted to introduce myself. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Ayotolaoff and I'm the creative director of So Unique Baduni and the content creator of this channel, DIY with So Unique Baduni. And this channel was created just for you, with you in mind, to teach you loads of sewing crafts and sewing projects that you can do from the comfort of your home. So if sewing is your cup of tea or it's just a hobby or something that you enjoy doing, you definitely want to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you don't miss out on the awesome content that I have for you, okay? And you also want to make sure to follow me on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and I think Thread. Yeah, the new one. All right, guys, make sure to follow. And all my OGs, welcome back. You guys know how much I care about you. Thank you so much for the support and thank you so much for the love. You guys are absolutely amazing. Keep sharing my videos. Keep making sure to tell your loved ones to subscribe. It's absolutely helping out. And maybe we'll be, celebrating 100K soon. I think at the moment we are on 52K. So 52,000 fantastic people are absolutely showing me support and love, and I cannot thank you guys enough. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so let's move on to today's video. So basically, like I said, we made this skirt earlier in the year and I kind of just wear it out sometimes. It's absolutely free. I love it and I really love the fabric. It's like a direct kind of fabric, right? So today I've got another skirt for you guys. We have this amazing skirt that I've made. As you can see, it starts off like a straight skirt, so it's a bit straight here, as you can see, and then it has like, it was absolutely fantastic, doing this skirt with two different kinds of fabrics essentially. So if you can get two different kinds of fabrics, a bit similar, or even if they're not really similar but you can work them together, absolutely good idea. So you want to go ahead and draft your skirt pattern as you will see in the video, and you start with a straight skirt and then you want to introduce the flare around the sides, right? I'm going to spin this for you guys to see, and Monica, my dress form, is wearing it. So this is Monica from Royal Dress Form, amazing dress form. And one thing you will see is you can see the flounce on the side, right? It's really full, and that's because the side is a flare. So it's not a 360 degrees flare, it's a 180 degrees. However, it works really well, just, not too full, just, what I like, at least for me. If you want it fuller, obviously go ahead. And if you want it, less full, you can also go for 90 degrees. It is up to you. But like I said, I've got the flounce here, and then obviously here at the back I've used like invisible zipper, and then it goes all the way down with the green. And then on the other side, as you expect, you also have the little black flounce on the side. And I think it's a really gorgeous skirt. I'm going to move this back so you guys can see the actual length of it, because like I said, it is a midi skirt. Oops. Yeah, it is a midi skirt. So this is what the length looks like. As you can see, it's really gorgeous. It's just right there. For me, just around like 4 or 5 inches from my ankle, or just about like mid calf area. But like I said, I really like the skirt, and if it sounds like something that you're interested in learning how to do, definitely keep watching. It promises to be another fun, and as you can expect, a detailed tutorial. And I do hope you enjoyed. And again, if you do enjoy it, please leave your comments and suggestions in the comment box below, or description, in the comment section below. And do make sure to share the video and subscribe again. All right, guys, let's go straight into the video. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.
Alright guys, as you can imagine, you'll need your skirt pattern. If you don't know how to draft the skirt pattern, go ahead and check the video I've linked in the icons above, as well as in the description box. You need to draft one. You'd also need your pins, you need the measuring tape, you'd also need your zipper. I went ahead to change the color of the zipper at some point. You need your fabric scissors, you'd also need your paper scissors actually, and then you'll need your fabric. Obviously I've got more of the black one because it was going to be the circle one, and lastly you need your lining. So starting with the skirt pattern, you want to go ahead and get the front skirt pattern, and then from the top line you also want to go ahead and mark 3.5 inches. So from the very top you mark 3.5 inches, and then at the side or at the bottom you mark how wide you want that part to be, right? So now for me, I marked 3 inches at the bottom and 3.5 inches from the top part, and I went ahead to draw a curve to link them together. Now after drawing a curve, I used my pattern master to make sure that the curve linked. So initially I did dotted lines for the curve, and then now I'm just linking the curve with my pattern master. After I'm happy with the curve, this is the part we're going to be cutting out, the part that I have kind of marked with the red marker. Go ahead and place the back skirt block on top of the front one, making sure that they all align where it should align. Now you'll notice that the center back is a bit short around the ends, but that's because I've done the skirt shaping. Now using the front block as a guide, go ahead and cut out the dotted line that we drew on the front one with your paper scissors, and then you want to go ahead and separate the pieces. So now we have two areas for the flounce and we have the two center back and center front pieces. The next thing we want to do is to want to cut out the flounce or the flare, and for that I'm going to be cutting out a 180 degrees flare. You can go ahead to do 360 or 90. So go ahead and fold your fabric appropriately, and if you don't know what I mean by appropriately, check out the video that I have on cutting flounces or flares and the calculations for that. So now that I folded this fabric into four, basically folded it into two and then folded into two again so I can cut the front and back at once, I went ahead to place the curved piece that we cut out on it, and then I went ahead to place it at an angle that I was happy with, just so I can have as much flounce. Right now, go ahead and cut out the full length of your midi skirt minus the 3.5 inches that we marked earlier. So whatever your full length of your midi skirt is, you want to go ahead and minus 3.5 inches and then go ahead and mark out the full length. After doing that, you want to go ahead and cut it out as shown, making sure to have add half an inch sewing allowance around the curved edges, so along the curved part, half an inch sewing allowance. Now, like I said earlier, we cut both the front and the back piece. Go ahead and mark the wrong side so that you're aware. Moving on to the front part, we want to go ahead and cut out the main fabric, or the straight part of it. So you want to go and get your other fabric. In this case, I'm using this green fabric, so I'm going ahead to fold it into two, and I'm marking on the wrong side. So go ahead and pin the center front in place, or what's left of it, and then go ahead and mark out your allowances. At the top, you want to make sure to mark out half an inch, but you also want to make sure to have the full midi length skirt, right? So now you're not subtracting anything, just your full midi length skirt, and then you want to go ahead and cut it out following the shape. So basically, I'm just making sure to follow the shape, and then around the curve, you want to have half an inch sewing allowance, and at the side seam you want to add 1 inch. So I'm just doing the side seam now, and then I'll do half an inch around the curve. After marking out your allowances, go ahead and cut it out as shown, and this is what it should look like. You should just have like one long piece, awkwardly long piece, and then obviously the other side. Now we're going to move on to the back, and we're going to repeat the same thing for the back. Now one thing you instantly notice is that the back is not on fold, and that's because of the presence of the zipper. So you basically want to leave 1 inch at the zip allowance all the way from the top of the back piece through the length of the midi skirt. So again, you want to mark the midi skirt length, and then you want to go ahead and leave 1 inch allowance on the center back side. After marking out the center back allowance, you want to go ahead and mark out the allowance at the top, which should be half an inch, just like we did for the front piece as well. You also want to mark out the allowance of half an inch around the curved area, and then 1 inch around the side seam area, exactly like we did for the front piece as well. After cutting out all the major pieces of your skirt, this is what you should expect the skirt to look like. So again, like I said earlier, if you wanted this fuller, you could basically go for like 360 degrees fold, or you could even, add like gathers or plates just to make the side seam area fuller. But like I said, this is something that wasn't too full. If you guys want to see like a fuller one, like I'm happy to do a tutorial on that as well. Now, starting with the center front, you want to go ahead and start with holding the dart in place, and you want to go ahead and mark that. Now, after sewing the dart, this is what it looks like. I've gone ahead to sew the dart, and this is the center front all done. Similarly, we're going to go ahead and deal with the center back as well. We want to start with the center back zip area. So starting from the top, leave 9 inches, mark 9 inches from the top, and make sure to leave that unsewn, and then go ahead and sew it from there, from the 9 inches mark all the way to the end on 1 inch sewing allowance. Then you also want to go ahead and notch the dart area and mark where your dart should be, and then sew your dart in place. So you're doing two things on the back pieces. You're sewing the dart in place, and then you're leaving the zipper part unsewn, and then sewing the rest of the skirt from the zipper allowance area all the way to the end. Now, after dealing with the center back, this is what the back looks like. It's all done now. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and deal with the flounce or the flare. So you want to go ahead and notch the center, which is what I'm doing now. And like I said, I cut the front and the back flare at the same time. So go ahead and notch the center of the flare, and then you want to go ahead and separate the pieces as you should. Now, starting with the front piece, we're going to go ahead and join the front and the back pieces together first before we can do anything. So go ahead and remove out the pins and the pattern from the front piece, and then lay it on the table so that the right side is facing you. Then you want to lay the back piece on it so that the right sides of both pieces are facing each other. So that means by the time you lay the back piece on it, the wrong side of the back piece is what is facing you. Now that you've laid the pieces together, go ahead and pin the side seam area together. That's the 3.5 inch area. So go ahead and pin that in place, and then go ahead and sew it on 1 inch, the sewing allowance that we've left. After sewing, here's what it looks like. So we can go ahead and continue, but before we do that, I like to overlock my stitches. So I go ahead with my Air Thread 2000D by Janome, and I go ahead and overlock the seams or the stitches, right, just to make sure that it looks all neat and tidy. So I start with the side seam, I do each one separately, and then I go ahead and finish off with the center back seam, which is obviously slightly longer, and I do it separately as well. After overlocking, the next thing you want to go ahead and do is lay it on a table, and this time we're now ready to actually join the flounce to it. So go ahead and position the flounce as it should be. You want to make sure you have the wrong side, and then you want to find the notched area that we made earlier. Go ahead and pin the notch to the side seam exactly at the center and pin it in place. Now we're going to work our way pinning from the notched area to the ends of the skirt, and we're going to pin gently because it's a curved area. So go ahead and pin it accordingly, making sure you're pinning the right so that the right sides are facing each other, and you're pinning on the wrong side. So on the wrong side of the, in my case, the green fabric, and on the wrong side of the black and white fabric. So go ahead and pin it all the way. After pinning, you basically have to sew it in place. So you want to go ahead and sew from one end, following the curve to the other end, just like I've shown. You also want to repeat this for the other side as well. And of course, to sew, I've got my sewing companion here with me, my Janome HD9 Heavy Duty Professional Sewing Machine. Like I always say, this thing handles fabric like a beast, and I can control the speed as well. So go ahead and sew it in place, and then this is what you should have at this point. So at this point, the skirt is nearly finished. If you don't want any lining, you can go ahead and skip the next bit and then just move on to the band area. However, if you do want a lining in place, you can go ahead and cut out your lining using a flare. So I'm using a full flare for my lining, and I'm basically just cutting out the lining. I'm not going to explain how to do that here, but if you don't know how to, I've got a very detailed tutorial on how to cut circles and flares and understanding circles and flares, and we'll explain to you how to cut the different types of circles and what to do with them. Go ahead and install the zipper onto the main skirt, and this is what it looks like after installing the zipper as well. So I went ahead to change the zipper color, and like I said, I have another tutorial on zipper. Then go ahead and place your lining piece on the main fabric. What you want to do is first sew your lining piece in place. So from the top of the lining piece, you want to go ahead and pin it all the way to the end, and then you want to mark 9 inches from the top and leave the 9 inches unsewn. Then you want to go ahead and sew the rest of it. So after sewing the rest of the lining piece, this is what it looks like. Now insert the lining into the main skirt, and then go ahead and match it up. What we want to do is we want to enclose the zipper area. So go ahead and grab the front of the lining piece and the front of the main fabric. Make sure the fronts are facing each other, and then go ahead and pin it in place. It might be easier to do this by putting your hand in between the lining and the skirt, right? So like I said, you insert the lining into the skirt, put your hand in between the lining and the skirt, and then hold on to the zipper area so that the front of the lining is facing the front of the skirt, right? The skirt fabric. And then that way your zipper will be enclosed. I know it's a handful, I know it's a mouthful, but again, I have a couple of videos where I've shown this in slow motion. I will link them in the icons above as well as in the description box below, so check it out. After pinning the lining and the main fabric in place, go ahead and sew it, and this is what it should look like. By now you should have your zipper enclosed in the lining and the main fabric, and it should look all neat and tidy. Next thing we want to do is we want to make sure the circumference or the waist circumference of the lining and the main fabric align, and in some cases you might have a little bit of excess, and if that's you, don't panic, don't worry, there's a way out. So starting from the center front and the side area, the zipper area, go ahead and pin the circumference of the lining and the main fabric. Now if you have any excess, what you want to do is you want to strategically shift all the excess towards the side seam area, which is where you need the flounce or the volume for the flounce. Right now, after pinning it in place, this is what it looks like. Confirm the waist measurement that you have, and then go ahead and get the rest of the fabric or scrap fabric. And now what you want to do is you want to cut out the band. To cut out the band, you want to determine how wide you want the band to be. I always recommend a bandwidth of 3.5 inches in total if you want your band to be 1 inch after sewing. And then you also want to cut out the band length. So for the band length, I also recommend your waist measurement plus a total of 4 or 5 centimeters, which is about 2 inches. So waist measurement plus 2 inches. Now after adding all of this, you want to go ahead and cut it out. You should have a rectangle that is your waist measurements plus 5 centimeters and 3.5 or 4 inches in width. Now go ahead and sew the ends, which is what I've done, and then you want to make sure to turn it inside out and then push out the corners. This is what we have for the band. Now we're going to zip it down, zip the skirt down, and we're going to start sewing from the inside of the skirt, which is where the lining is, or otherwise known as the wrong side. Pin your band in place starting at the edge, and you want to go ahead and pin it all through the extent of the waist circumference. After pinning it in place, you want to go ahead and sew it on 1/2 inch sewing allowance all the way to the end, and you should have an excess of 1/2 inch after doing that. After sewing the band in place, here's what it looks like. Next thing to do is to top stitch the band onto the right side and sew it in place as well. You're going to be starting from the part that has the 1 inch excess, and then you want to go ahead and sew it. Now after top stitching, this is the final result. This is what the band looks like. Go ahead and attach your hook and eye or affix your hook and eye, and then at this point, guys, your skirt is totally finished. I love how crisp the band is, and yeah, I'm really happy with the results. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was worth your while. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave your comments and suggestions in the description, in the comment section below, and obviously give this video a thumbs up, and please share if you haven't already. See you guys soon.